In 2018, Mike Hodge was attacked by Shamba, one of the lions in his care, under the horrified watch of several witnesses. The man survived the attack, but the trauma remained. This is his story. This is fierce. April 28, 2018. Mike Hodge was leading a group of tourists through his big cat sanctuary, the Marakele Predator Centre. Hodge was driving the lion mobile through the park, the way the 72-year-old man had done it hundreds of times before. He loved animals, especially lions and other felines, and he loved sharing his knowledge with others. The day went smoothly, with the park's big attraction just around the proverbial corner. As the tour was drawing to its end, Hodge knew what was coming next was the ultimate highlight of this guided adventure. The tourists, he knew, were in for a treat. With South Africa now somewhat notorious for its lion hunts, the Marakele Predator Centre was a refreshing change of pace for people who wanted to be closer to the animals without killing them for sport. The Marakele Predator Centre was Mike Hodge's baby, his life's work, and one of his biggest dreams. Hodge had once been a mere trader in his homeland of England, his wife a hairdresser and shop owner, but the couple wanted more. So in 1999, Mike and Chrissy Hodge and their 2 children moved to South Africa. They had only one goal in mind: make a business of Hodge's dream of living among lions. In 2003, the couple started a lion conservation project on a farm some 18 miles outside Thabazimbi, an iron mining town in the Limpopo province. 7 years later, in 2010, the Hodges established the Marakele Predator Centre. No hunting was allowed in the park. Instead, it was a place where tourists could go and encounter wildlife in its natural habitat. The park's mission was simply to provide a fun, safe, and educational wildlife experience in the Thabazimbi area. In 2018, the park had over a dozen big cats, including white lions, cheetahs, and 2 Bengal tigers. Even more, according to the park's website, guests could stay in safari tents and hear the lions roar, hyenas laugh, and jackals calling. But nothing was more attractive to wildlife lovers than the park's Lion Mobile tour. Mike Hodge guided the tour himself, driving the tourist-filled truck around the sanctuary among the free-roaming animals. The tour was the perfect way for tourists to get close and personal, but not too personal, with big cats. Here's what the sanctuary's website had to say about the Lion Mobile tour. "I can promise you that Shamba will jump up and look you in the eyes. He also sits on top of the truck whilst we take the drive through the camp." It was a big promise, and Mike Hodge always wanted to deliver. On April 28, 2018, the day's group of tourists were all in the truck, held safe by a cage. This way, the tourists could come face to face with the lions without risking getting hurt. There were chickens on top of the cage. Hodge had put them there to catch Shamba's attention and lure him on top of the cage. Shamba was a 10-year-old male, which Hodge had hand-reared and bottle-fed himself. They were old friends. Still, Hodge knew the animals were dangerous and tried to minimize the risks any way he could. Once the truck got inside the enclosure, the chickens did their job. Shamba appeared out of nowhere, got on top of the cage, and began to feed. The tourists were more than amazed. They were delighted. They snapped photos of the lion, undoubtedly thinking about sharing them with friends and family. It was a once-in-a-lifetime kind of experience, and Shamba was beautiful, with the exact proud look a lion should have. But as his jaws opened wide to take another bite of the meat, there was no mistake. Those huge, sharp teeth could snap in half more than chicken bones. Luckily, there was a cage separating the potentially tasty group of humans from the mighty animal. After Shamba finished his meal, it was time for the tour to end. Shamba had already climbed off the truck. Hodge drove the vehicle to the exit gate. Shamba was still a little too close for comfort, but Hodge and his employees had implemented a now tried and tested routine in order to get the lion away from the vehicle and exit safely. Shamba was standing in the grass a few yards away from the vehicle when one of Hodge's employees called to the lion to lure it away. The man used meat to entice the animal, but Shamba seemed more reluctant than usual. He was sniffing at the grass as if he was undecided whether to continue walking or not. "Shamba, come on!" the employee outside the fence called again, throwing another piece of meat toward the lion. It was enough to convince the animal to keep walking. With Shamba now heading away from the truck, Hodge jumped out of the vehicle and headed toward the gate to open it. The man made a quick stop to check the grass and appeared to kick an object. Afterwards, he turned back toward the gate. But something happened, something inexplicable. It all happened in a flash. For some unknown reason, Shamba the lion broke the well-established pattern. Instead of focusing solely on the meat, the lion turned around, back toward the truck. That's when the animal spotted Hodge, who was out of the truck, which meant he was defenseless. Hodge knew how to interact with his animals, but some things can't be explained or avoided. The man started running for his life, but it was no use. He was no match to Shamba. It took a mere 3 seconds for the animal to close the distance between them. Hodge had almost made it inside the vehicle's cab, but the lion pulled him to the ground and bit down close to the man's neck. Then Shamba dragged the man further inside the enclosure. It was as if the man weighed nothing at all to the animal. Inside the truck's cage, the tourists watched in horror. Some of them began screaming and shouting for help. Others started crying, unable to tear their eyes away from the gory scene. "Get a gun," a man shouted. For a moment, Shamba seemed to let go of Hodge, but it was only that, a moment. The lion quickly grabbed the man again and dragged him behind a nearby bush. "Shoot," someone urged. A gunshot followed, and then another, and another, and another. There was no movement behind the bush. "Someone get a rifle, just in case," a man then said. Finally, an employee at the park managed to get a rifle and shot the animal dead. Mike Hodge was still alive, but badly hurt. His jaw was broken, and there were several gashes to his neck. The 72-year-old was rushed to the hospital, where he underwent life-saving surgery. A hospital photo showed Hodge smiling in his hospital bed, with a bandage on his neck and a breathing tube after the terrifying ordeal. Despite the photo, though, and Hodge's physical recovery, the man was left traumatized by the whole ordeal. The sudden aggression and subsequent death of the lion he had once fed from a bottle took a toll on Mike Hodge and his family. He is very upset about the loss of Shamba, and I think he is trying to put up a brave face, but he is really battling to come to terms with what has happened, said the family's spokesperson.